Good day to you, I'm LionHeartBlue and welcome to another episode of my Scrap Mechanic Survival series. Today we're going to be doing something completely different. I'm in dev mode at the moment because I want to try something out. I'll show you why in a second. And I could do this in challenge mode to practice, but I wanted to see what effect it had on my base. I've built out a lot more of this the wood here, and I have moved my timber mill to face this way, and I'm trying not to show you what I'm talking about too much. I don't want to spoil surprise. Let's go this way. So the reason that I'm having issues at the moment, not issues, but the reason this has all started, this is the back end of the timber mill. So when I want to be able to come up here with a vehicle and add the tree trunks to this structure here, and then for it to, as it did, to to drop them down and it would start harvesting them. So one thing I'm going to do is attach cardboard as the welding point for those bricks. And what that means is that I can then set up a spud gun to shoot the cardboard, and therefore the tree trunks will drop in and get harvested. So my plan was, if I could get a sensor to sense that there was some trees here, to get the gun to fire. So basically I could be out harvesting trees, come back here, chuck them on here, and it'll be automatic, and I could go off. Obviously if I move out of render distance it will stop, but at least while I'm around it will keep going and I won't have to think about it. So my challenge was, how can I add trees sort of to this side and get them harvested? Now I have a bit of a problem with over-engineering everything, and I was struggling to think of a simple way to do it, and so I came up with a not so simple way to do it, and I'll show you that now, and you'll see why it wasn't really successful, why it wasn't really viable, but it will also explain why I'm in this sort of mode. So what I thought of doing is building a kind of, I was thinking of like a conveyor belt, but a conveyor belt that would start this side, the outside of the timber mill, and it would move and rotate, and anything that I attached to or welded to the conveyor belt this side would move over the top of the timber mill and down the other side. Probably doesn't make much sense, but there isn't such a thing as conveyor belt. I mean, you can make a conveyor belt, and you can make a conveyor belt that pretty much is flat. You can go, move items one way or the other. What I needed was a conveyor belt that can go around corners. So I thought, what about building a kind of link structure? So what I did, what the process was to build something like this. So that would be one link element, one part of the chain, if you like. And then for each, now you can see why, well, you might start understanding why I wanted to do this in in this survival mode, not in the challenge mode. It's one, because testing with all these resources would take up a lot. So what I'm having to do at the moment is get unlimited resources, and then I can add bearings, for example, and metal. I don't know why I'm using metal 3. because it's probably heavy, but I like the look of it anyway. And then I would go, yeah, sorry, as I was saying, the next issue, once I've done this, was to have this many bearings, would be that it would probably cause problems with my base loading and stuff like that. So I'll stop here. This is basically, I would carry this around and it would join up there, and that would become like some kind of conveyor belt. And if I drop this down now, if I off the lift, you'll see that all the bearing points, they're all sort of loose. It's not easy to show you like this. And then the idea was that you have something that spun, and a probe or a pipe would reach into each of these holes there on either side of this. I'm not actually sure when I record if you can see my crosshair, so I apologise, but I'm trying to show. So this square here, a pipe would fit into it as that spun, and a pipe would fit into the left of this one and the right of this block as it spun, and it would pull this around. The idea then was that I would put, as I said, concrete, doesn't really matter for this example, but I put cardboard block on, weld the tree to it, and then this would, as this spun round, it would take the tree over the top and get refined. I think I keep saying harvested and refined. I keep using the wrong terminology, but I'm pretty sure you'll understand what I'm talking about. So one problem I had was, once I built this, how do I get it onto a structure that spins it? Let me just show you what a structure that spins it looked like, so you know what I'm talking about. So if I get pipe, it doesn't really matter what pieces, but what I found was successful, as I'm going to show you the finished product in a minute. So we put, not like that, we do, so this has got to be 3, and then we have, so those two pipes there would fit either side of this. Then we have a 1 there and a 1 this side, which would fit into this hole in the middle, and then there's another 2 on the top. And the idea was, with a controller, doesn't really matter which one, if I hook that up, and then we'll say, I don't know, let's just spin it 15 fast and we'll loop it. So when I turn, I need a switch as well. Switch. Put a switch on there and hook that all up. Switch to that. So you can see that spins. What I'll do now is I'll attempt to get this little bit. I shouldn't have taken this apart, but actually let me see if I can just rebuild this again quickly to give you an idea. In fact, I could probably make it smaller, but the major issue next was, because they're two separate structures, this is separate. How do I get this to sit on top of this? And that was quite a challenge. What I found is I could let me try and do it. So I need this to return to its right. So there's two holes here, and the theory was that I could get this section here to weld to there. Let me try doing that So I could weld that square to that square. You can see it fits. And then if I take this block off, it's now loose. I mean, obviously, this would have been a complete circle. And now if I can get to my switch, which I can't, you'll see it starts turning, unfortunately, the wrong way. So let's try this again, but I'll put this on the right way. Or can I just spin that the other way? So let's do... Right, so that spins that way. Let me try this again. Take this off. Put the block here. Weld. I've forgotten which bit it was now. In fact, I need that to stop, don't I? Where are we going to stop? Are we not going to stop now? Are we not going to stop spinning now? Oh, why does this happen? This happens quite often with things, and I've got no idea why it does it. Probably me doing something stupidly wrong. Right, we're back to that. Let me go back to there. Which way we... Excuse me? But why are you spinning again? I don't get it. Stop spinning. I'm very confused, but this does not help. So, let me change this again, so you're not spinning. Right. Oh, that does confuse the hell out of me. So I need to weld... I've forgotten already. I think it's this bit. To there. Take that bit out. It's now loose again. I need to check which way we want to spin. We want to spin that way, so at least you'll see it. It's already spinning, even though that's not on. But you see how it takes that chain. It's all going to go horribly wrong because it's not in a circle. But yeah, so that was my idea. So if you imagine putting... Okay, well it's hitting that. But imagine putting a tree, sort of a tree here, and it taking it over the top. The gun shooting the cardboard off, the tree falling down, and it keeps going round like that. That was the idea anyway. I can't turn this off because it's not. Okay, you get the idea. So I built a huge one over here, and it's got 4 of those turny things. So one up there. I should have coloured this. It would have made it much easier to see. You got 1 of these turny things in each corner, and if I turn this one on, hoping that it won't go wrong, you'll see the whole thing. It's like a chain sort of system, and you can clearly see how the single pipes fit in the middle hole, double pipes fit in the outside holes, and it works quite well. And it weirdly makes no difference to my frame rate, or maybe a couple of frames have dropped with all those bearings and all that. I was quite surprised. So if I show you now, cardboard, the idea with the cardboard, if this still works, oh, not in the hole. So imagine that there's a tree on that cardboard. The sensor senses it, and the gun missed. But you get the gist. It's probably to do with the timing of that shot. Let me see it when it comes back round again. Bear with. I could also put another one on, couldn't I? So how does it... It's a bit too slow, isn't it? So I change the timer slightly. So that's 1 second. Let's make it... Nope. I didn't see whether that was too fast or too slow now. You see? So that shot that off, and this which would represent the tree. I could probably do it better. So you'll see this last one. Ah, no, that metal got in the way. But anyway, no, that's still getting in the way. So there'd be a point where this works better, like that. Now the idea of that was that whole system would have been on this. If you imagine this being the outside, I come along, load trees on, and obviously it wouldn't be constantly spinning. It will only spin when it sees a tree there, it just move up one. But for test purposes, I had this spinning the whole time. However, as you may have already realised, which took me a long time to do, because I got this idea in my head and I wanted to do it, but practically it doesn't work. If you imagine the weight of a tree on here, and like I say, you probably worked this out already. Okay, well that's kind of working, but you see how it goes all wonky, and how it's all falling here, and then you can't line this up. And I was thinking, can I put things inside to keep it straight? And now it's going to go wrong because it's going to get stuck. You know, was there anything I could do to keep this more rigid so that it didn't go like this, get pushed in and do all this? Because that gun would never, you know, it wouldn't fire and hit this block properly. So I, unfortunately, although however much I love this, I've had to abandon that as an idea. So before I deleted it, I wanted to show it to you, to show you what I've been doing, and that while I've not been, well, I have been recording, but I've been doing a lot offline because I didn't want to bore you with my research. But I was so proud of this. I've not seen anyone else do it. I've not seen any videos of it. I looked on YouTube to see if anybody had made sort of a system like this. It might be that I was searching for the wrong terms. I don't know, but yeah, I was quite proud of this, and I'm so keen to use it somewhere, but I don't know where. It's just, yeah, for this particular purpose, it's no good. So I will be getting rid of this. So let me show you what I have been doing. So what my new idea is, sorry, not what I have been doing, what my new idea is, and it's so much simpler, I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I've put, now if I could walk up here, I've got to be careful of not getting in front of this sensor because it sets the machine off, and then I get into big trouble. I should have a button obviously to turn that off. So I've got a sensor here, and I've made this two layers. And the idea is that I come from here and I can load my trees on here, starting from the top, however many I need. I'll have to make sure I mark. And then when it sees a tree, it spins it round. That's interesting. I'll explain why that's interesting in a minute. So it spins round, and then once it's full, but it doesn't. It only does it when this is full. So the idea is if I put more on here, let's say I'm adding more trees, so then it spins again, and by then obviously this would, in theory, would have been empty. So that kind of helps me, means I can load from here, and that's all good. Now in here I've got a chest of cardboards ready, so that I can come up here, get my cardboard, load cardboard on here. So when it spins, round, it sets this, it's supposed to anyway, it doesn't quite work, but it sets the gun I've got down here firing, and it should only fire once, and then it's supposed to wait until this returns, and it should fire again. And I'm not entirely sure how to do the logic for that just yet, because I only want it to fire if there are trees here. Oh, so I think, you know, I'm not even sure why what is firing that. It might be, I think I've got my logic here wrong, and it's firing when that sensor, when this, when this sensor is on, I think that's what's firing it. If I put, let me do that again. So if I put a block there and release it, you see something caused that to fire. There's a delay. So that sensor come on because that block fell in front of that sensor, and it set this off, which fired that. So that's kind of wrong. What that's supposed to work the other way around, because if that sensor goes off, that means a tree's falling down, and I don't want this to fire. What's supposed to happen is that when this returns, which means that the sensor has sensed that block at the end. I really need to improve my steps because this is terrible. So that sensor sees this block, so it turns itself off. The timer should wait for it to return, and then this should shoot again. That's what I need. So it's supposed to be when that sensor is off. Now I don't know quite what I've done wrong. As you can see, I mean, I'm not good at this stuff yet, at sensors and logic gates. Sorry, sensors are okay, because they're either they sense something or they don't. But these logic gates, I'm still learning massively. And what's supposed to happen is when my first sensor up here, when my first sensor here is triggered, I want it to spin this, wait a few seconds, and fire the gun, because this knows this means it's in a tree. It's seen that this side is full, so it spins round, and that should start the gun firing. So I might be that I can break this down and solve this better than me trying to do everything at once. So when that gun fires, a tree trunk will drop down, set that sensor off. That then pushes that all the way to there, pushing the tree, refining the tree, etc. And then it turns off and returns. When it returns, I want this to fire again once. And that's the bit that, because obviously if that fires again and there's another tree, it will then refine that tree, and it will keep going until that last tree's done, and then this will fire for the last time, and there'll be nothing here until that sensor then senses more trees on this side, and it flips around, and hopefully you can understand what I'm getting at. So I think what I need to do first is go back to the basics on this and get that to fire after a slight delay, and that delay will be this time that it takes for this to turn around when that sensor senses something. The sensor up there senses something. And I think what I might do quickly is make myself a little staircase here. Obviously I'm going to tidy this all up and get out of dev mode and do this all legitimately. Oh, look. My piston car goes crazy occasionally. You probably heard it. Look. Every time I place blocks. Look. And I believe that is something to do with this structure. It must be something to do with it's struggling to calculate, you know, all the physics that are required for all these bearings in this entire environment, and it makes these go a bit wonky. I mean, this is welded to the ground, so it's not, you know, it's not actually touching the ground. Otherwise, you end up seeing them go mental and they flip over and stuff. Anyway, back up here. I can't get up there, can I? I need another step. So when this fires, let me so I need to now, I think the quickest way, I need to undo all this. And it's so difficult. They really need to improve this, because it's so hard for me when I don't even understand the logic gates very well. When I'm looking at them like this, it'd be very handy if you could isolate the things you're looking at, so you don't see all the other logic. That this is all to do with the timber mill itself. I mean, I could move all this, I suppose. That might be my fault placing it here, but so we got this one is connected to that. Why was that there? Oh, because that was the switch for that, I believe. Then we have, so that sensor's connected to this gate. So I don't think, it doesn't look like these two, I've even used them. So God knows what I was thinking when I did this. I think they were connected, and I got all confused and in a kerfuffle. Anyway, so what we want now is, this isn't an exclusive OR. This is, we need this. That's connected to the sensor. So the sensor should, so that needs to connect to the timer. This should be an AND. And then the timer, we can do it, let's give it let's give it a second to spin round. And then that timer should fire that. I don't know if that made any sense, but I'm not going to explain it again in case I'm wrong. So let's see if it works first, and then I'll attempt to explain it better. So let's say this. Okay, that worked perfectly. Except I'm probably getting loads of cardboard stuck somewhere. Yeah, there's some more here from earlier. So I'll explain that again. This is an AND gate now. So we're saying if that switch is on, I wonder if you even need the AND gate where that switch can talk directly to, not that switch, the sensor can talk directly to the timer. But it doesn't, because it doesn't then turn it off. And that is because that's still on. But that's fine, I think. But that now turns this off, and that doesn't do anything. So, does this need to be... So sensors can whack to switches or buttons. So if I make that a button, because a switch is... sensor will, with a switch, with a sensor set up as a switch, when it senses something, it'll turn on. When it senses something again, it will turn off. With a button, if it senses something, it acts like a button, which is a press, so it's on-off, if you get the meaning. So if that is now set up as a button, that should turn this on, and then off again. Yeah. And that's why it can't be a button, because this, yeah. So there is a way to set up these logic gates in a way that would control that much better, and I just simply don't know how to do that at the moment. So I think I'll have a play with that offline, and I will come back and explain when I understand. But you get the idea. You can see hopefully why I'm trying to do all this. And one of the reasons is that I wanted this away from from this here, so I can concentrate on my defences and building my base, etc. In addition, I've had horrendous problems with, not horrendous problems, but let's just say I cannot perfect this at all. And I've got another idea, which again, it's very similar, but different. But it will mean ripping this whole thing down, which is, I feel a bit bad about it, because it's almost like, you know, I spent 2 or 3 videos probably going over this and showing you all this stuff I was doing. And then if I just take this down and change it, it's I feel like So not a waste, but you know, you followed those videos, and I've just, you know, oh well, I give up. I'm going to do something different. So let me know if you're not very happy about that, and I won't do it. But if you know you're happy for me to change this and get it to work, it would mean probably starting the farm sort of this end. I can have it as wide as I want. It'll go all the way this way. It'll be just one farm not one farm, but one set of controls thing here. Instead of having separate ones like this, it'll be just one set, and I can widen it as much as I want as I get more chests, etc. And it's a much better system I've thought of. So I'll do that in the next update. For now, I think I've been recording long enough, I think, for an informational video. So thank you very much for your time. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so you get notified of all the new videos that are coming up, which will only happen actually if you hit that bell next to the subscribe button. Leave any comments about things you've seen me do or anything you want me to do, and I'll attempt to reply to them while I don't get so many comments at the moment, and I will do whatever I can to accommodate you. Thank you again. Please take care. I'll see you next time.